those of you who are joining us and don't know me, my name is Michelle McFadden Loomis. I am the Business Development Advisor of the Regional Business Support Network. Now, what do we do at RBSN? RBSN is funded by Prairies Economic Development Canada, and it's a partnership developed by Community Futures Central Alberta in Red Deer and the town of Olds. And we are collaborating today with Kneehill County. I'm so excited to have our presenter be here. She is a workplace culture expert and an author of The Culture Revolution. So I know you're going to learn a lot today. And so we are here for a very limited time. I will ask you to hold your questions until the end or put them in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat as well. So thank you for joining us at another episode of the RBSN's monthly Biz Bite. Watch out, we'll have another one coming next month as well. And I will pass the microphone over to Teresa Cochran, our amazing presenter, who is going to share how workplace values drive great business results. Teresa, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate the introduction. It's nice to be called an expert, but I guess when you get to this age, you should be an expert by now in something, I hope. But corporate culture has always been my drive and my passion, and throughout my career. Sorry? Oh, I just heard something in the background. Throughout my career, everywhere I go, I focus on culture and employees. I'm not really sure what's beeping there in the background. Do you hear that as well?
I do. I'm just letting people in, and
okay,
people, as you're joining us, can you please mute, and then we'll open up the microphones for our Q&A.
Awesome. Michelle, are we still seeing the slides, or do I have to hit present here?
You are still seeing the slides, so we should be able to move back and forth.
That's awesome. Fantastic. So again, welcome and thanks for joining us today for this excellent session on corporate culture. And really, corporate culture is the most important thing in your organization because the people that you have in your business are your power. And without them being engaged and focused and supportive and understanding of your vision, then you really can't be as successful as you could be. So in just 20 short minutes, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of tools and give you some inspiration to strengthen your culture within your workplace. And I can promise you'll see its impact on performance, retention, success, and just plain old happiness in the workplace, which I don't know about you, but we could use a little more of. And then, of course, I have a few digital copies of my book to give away. So if you're interested in the full theory that I'm going to talk about, you can read that in just half a day and you'll have all sorts of information to start implementing this in your workplaces. So that's very exciting. Oh, good. We're having some changes. Sometimes slides don't work and I'm always like, what's happening? But we know what's happening. Okay. So people often think of culture as the soft stuff. So I really dislike the word soft stuff because it implies that it's not hard. And we know corporate culture and employees and managing people is not that soft. It's actually pretty powerful if we do it well. So it's not the nice to have fuzzy perks that some people say it is. It's actually the stuff that's most important to get right. And so if you think about the best workplace you've ever been in, chances are it wasn't the pay, it wasn't the perks, but it was all of the other things, how people treated each other, the energy, the sense of pride and the vision. Those are the things that kept the people, and those are the things that kept people coming back to your business over and over. I'm sure you've maybe gone to a business and you go over and over because you love the people that work there. I know for me that's critical. Service is such an important piece of where I choose to spend my money. And so, of course, the numbers back this up. It's not just me saying, oh, culture's so great and it's so lovely, but it is actually great. And there's been a lot of research where you'll see that your teams will be at least 21% more engaged and productive, which is critical. Happy employees don't just do their jobs. They use their discretionary time in order to build their skill set and to support bringing new ideas forward. They invest extra effort because they believe in your mission, and that's so critical. And for example, I've seen employees stay late, and this is even in a unionized environment, not because someone asked them to, but because they wanted to mentor a new teammate or finish a project or finish something they were really excited about. That's what we call discretionary effort. And it only happens in a culture where people feel engaged and supported. On the flip side, when you have a poor culture, it drains people. It makes them feel disengaged. And sometimes you might hear it called quiet quitting, or, the Facebook era that we might be in. But turnover is going to be what you're going to see there. Or you're going to see employees really just doing the bare minimum to get by. And that's expensive. So even if it might not show up on your balance sheet, you're going to see over time that it's going to be really critical. So the bottom line would be you can't afford not to invest in your culture. What gets in the way? Oh, you could add them up, but lots of things get in the way. But one of the biggest barriers is when organizations have leaders and they operate in a command and control mindset. So that bureaucratic leadership where I tell you what to do and you go do it. I don't know anyone that likes being told what to do. I don't know about you, but my biggest thing is don't tell me what to do. I'm going to figure it out on my own. I'm pretty smart. And so are your people. They're very smart. But in the command and control environment, policies will dominate, leaders will enforce the rules, and employees will play it safe, which means no discretionary effort, no creativity, and it's really just compliance. So I've worked in lots of places where the policy manual was much thicker than the job description, and still nobody could figure out, is Friday jeans day or do we have to wear a suit? But what happens over time, again, people stop bringing their ideas forward. They check their brains at the door, which is such a critically important thing. We want their brains. And then the leaders become enforcers, not facilitators, not coaches. And it becomes the blame game, the silos, and the disengagement. So you can see very clearly by this slide that the thriving culture is one where people are happy. They have clear values. They understand how to win at their job. Their leaders empower them. There's innovation and creativity in the workplace, and people bring their ideas forward, even if they're not capitalized upon immediately. You could say, wow, that's a great idea. Let's really work through how that could happen for us. And people get excited, and so many great things can happen for your business. People are prideful of their job. People want to have a purpose. I know I do. It's such a critical piece. Command and control, on the other hand, you see policies, enforcers, fear of mistakes, unions, and employees, again, they check their brain. They have such great brains. Now let's look at exemplary cultures where innovation. I'm sure you've heard of Netflix. I remember, maybe some of you remember getting videos in the mail. We were talking about that today, but that's fun. But at Netflix, their mantra is freedom and responsibility. So employees are trusted to make decisions. They don't need to go through layers of approval. You got to go through me before you can talk to them and it just gets crazy for people. And of course, that trust creates agility. People own their projects and they own their mistakes, which then helps everybody learn. At Google's also, of course, we all know Google, but they famously introduced the 20% time. I love 20% time. And I tell my staff, although it's challenging, try to secure 20% of your time to learn and to explore side projects and to be innovative. You could see by Google that they came up with really great things like Gmail, Google Maps, and that all came from that 20% culture where people had time to explore ideas. At Zappos, another great company, Tony Hish was their leader. Hopefully I said it right. But he focused on employee happiness and customer service. And that was his vision. When you're happy, the customers are happy. And employees feel supported, they're engaged, and they naturally go above and beyond. Like I said, in this time where customers have so much choice as to where they go and spend their dollar, the employee is what's going to bring them back every time. For me, it's so critical. I will go to the coffee shop where the people know me. They know my name. And, Busy Bee and Airdrie, my favorite place, they know my coffee. I walk in, they serve me. I love it. And they know I like it extra hot. And I will go back. I'll come back to Three Hills, even if I don't work here anymore, because they're amazing. And your people can be amazing. At Pantago Purpose, they focus on purpose and responsibility. Pantago is one of my favorite case study companies because values really drive their culture. They are focused on their values and their employees are just as passionate about that. What do they have? Trust, autonomy, collaboration, but they don't have rigid rules. Now, of course, we have to have some rules. We can't get away from it. But for the most part, we have to ask ourselves, are those rules driving results or are they driving people away? So it's really, really, really critical. Here's the vision that's in, my slide did this again, so sorry about that. This is the cultural transformation framework that I put together in my book. And so a framework is just a plan, a method, a step-by-step guide as to how you can do this in your workplace. I'm setting the top level guide, and then you would take the guide and say, okay, well, what is my vision? So we want to define the vision for our organization. What is the cultural destination? Where do we want to be? Employees want to know the North Star. What's your North Star? It's so critical to understand that. Then we need to redefine accountability. What does that mean in our workplace? What does it mean to be accountable? What does it mean to have ownership over our projects? What does it mean to accept that we make mistakes? We're just human, without having the blame come forward, or that, victim cycle that's so critical. Communicate. Well, of course, communication is so important. And if we don't communicate this often and plenty, people will forget. So we can't just say, here's our vision and here's our accountability, and then check, we're done. No, that doesn't really work. Check boxes don't work. People need constant reinforcement, and they need to understand that you're on the same path as they're on, so you're also accountable. The most important part, and I said that a lot of times in this presentation already, but if your leaders aren't amazing at what they do, invest in them first. Leaders need to lead, and they need to coach and mentor and guide their folks. The culture will fail if leadership doesn't change. And I've seen it, so many times. And it's kind of depressing, because leaders should be very serious about that responsibility, because humans, they're delicate and they require a little bit of kid gloves in order to be successful. Start with your leaders. Your leaders will then empower employees through trust and autonomy over time. Of course, these things aren't magic, but over time, these things will start to take place. Training is so important. We have to train and train and train and train and train, and we have to keep training. And then we have to appreciate it when employees show up with those skills. We say, oh, you're amazing. Uh-oh, I'm a little over time, so I'm moving along. Evaluation and review. While we're measuring our progress, we never stop. There are certain methods that say plan, check. So now we're checking to see if it's working, and then we're making changes to adapt and model our employees to keep moving. And that's where that change management comes in place. So we think about the people, what do they need, and we're building systems to help them be successful. We're almost done. So how do we transform leaders? We could create that compelling vision. We help build trust with authenticity. So as a business owner or the leader of the organization, I'm authentic. I trust my people. I show up every day. They know what to expect from me. They know they can come to me. I don't have blame. I'm kind. I'm compassionate. I'm empathetic. But I also push when they need to be pushed. So we have to remember that. Ensure goal clarity. Everyone needs to know how to win. Encourage innovation. I had a boss once that said, we don't have time to innovate. I'm like, what? What do you mean? That's so important to innovate. How do we grow as a business? Reward people. A thank you goes such a long way. And accept those well-conceived mistakes. Act as a coach and mentor, not as someone that tells people what to do, but ask people, what would you do? What do you think? Oh, I'm so interested. I'm curious. What have you tried before? 3 steps to empower change. Lead with inclusion. Everyone is a different human. Everyone has a different brain, different ideas, different backgrounds. Really recognize that, appreciate that. Have well-being initiatives. Support employees. Give them training. Help them understand what strategy means. Help them understand your long-term goals. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you. Namaste, you're amazing. Those things really are so important to people. Strong culture attracts talent. Reduce is costly turnover. It costs 1 year's salary to replace every employee. So if you have to replace an employee, you do the math, it's about 1 year of that person's salary that it's going to cost you. That's a lot of money if you're going through people like crazy. And then, of course, it builds pride and resilience in your organization. Key takeaways: culture equals measurable results. I guarantee, I've been working on this for over 30 years. Everyone hires me to do this work because it's so important. Waste and recycling, I supported all of the employees in moving the employee engagement scores from 33% to 69% of employees felt appreciated for their work in just 1 short year. So small shifts have big impacts. And ask yourself, what's one value you can model for your teams tomorrow? Huh. I'm still a little late. I'm sorry about that, but thank you very much. I went a little off script, but thank you for your time and your energy. And I'd be
It is.
happy to hear some
Oh,
questions.
good, Teresa. Teresa, that was amazing
Oh, thank you. I'm
information,
going to
literally in
stop
a biz
sharing.
bite.
Yes,
A
just a
biz bite.
bite.
So,
Yeah.
I have a few comments and questions. I know that, and then I'll open it up for questions from the audience. You can just unmute and or raise your hand, and I'll call on you for your questions. But I know that I have worked in other organizations where the leadership doesn't, or the owner of the organization talks the talk but doesn't walk the walk as far as culture goes. And then I have seen the organization completely disintegrate, disrespect, and good people leave. And that organization spends a ton of money on what we call the employee churn
Yep.
of recruitment, retention, and yeah, I totally reiterate that if it's not coming from the owner of the business, that real culture, in this scenario where we need workers so much, we need to retain our people for workforce development and for more profitable organizations. It has to come from the owner.
So 100% correct. I have run the model in 7 businesses. If the owner checks a box and doesn't check their attitude or their accountability, you're done. You've wasted your time, your energy, and your money. The owner, the leader, the CAO, CEO, whoever is at the top that smiles and says, great work, they have to be modeling the behavior. Modeling behavior is the most important. How many times have I said that? I'm like, critical, most important, all these things, right? But if your leader isn't modeling the behavior, the employees are going to be like, well, I don't have to do this. That's not important. They don't care. This is just a checkbox. Oh, yay, fluffy stuff, right? It doesn't work. It just won't work.
Exactly.
So I say don't even try then. Just stop. Full stop.
Just stop.
Yeah.
So for businesses that have been in business for a while, haven't necessarily been intentional on working on their culture, but regardless, there's a culture there. How do you flip it from that maybe a culture of mediocrity to a culture of excellence?
Yes. Well, first you have to understand why you have a culture of mediocrity. Why is it mediocre in the organization? Is it because of the leadership team? Is it because of lack of strategic priorities? Is it because people don't understand the vision? Is it because they don't understand their job? So first dig in. What's wrong? What's happening? And you keep asking why until you really understand. I'm like an annoying child, that 3-year-old that says, why? Oh, tell me more. Why? Oh, I'm curious about that. Why? And my husband looks at me like, oh, seriously, Teresa, stop it. But you want to find the problem. Then you want to understand, where's your vision? What do you want to get to? And now you have the gaps. But you have to understand the root to why you have mediocrity. And you have to be willing to take a hard look in the mirror to say, have I done this? And you're so right, Michelle, because you have a culture, whether you've influenced it or not, you have one. And you want to influence it because you want your employees to be their best. And if you're influencing their direction and you're guiding through their strengths and you see them, you hear them, and you really work with them, you're going to see such an amazing thing happen. But you have to understand why, and you got to be open to saying, hey, maybe it's partly me. Right? Because the leader always point the finger back. When your employees aren't performing, I always go, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? How did I not communicate effectively? Have I not spent enough time? Have I not modeled the right behavior? It's always coming back to me. And that's hard work to do, but it's important. It's important. It's your business.
Absolutely.
Your business.
I'm going to open up to the floor for questions for Teresa, because not often do you get to sit with a workplace development, workplace culture expert, literally at no cost, to pick her brain. So now is the time, people. If you have a question, please, you can click on the hand raise at the top, or if it's burning and urgent, absolutely just unmute and ask away. No burning questions?
I love it when you're in classes and you're just looking for the mute buttons to come off. So anybody.
Right?
And I'm
okay,
free.
I have another burning question.
Great.
I really do. So workplace culture is influenced not just by the leader, but the people within that workplace as well. So what if you're a leader and you thought you hired really, really well, and you thought this person was going to be a rock star, but now they're influencing the culture in a negative way. What do you do?
Ooh, you can be bamboozled in an interview, I have to say. You know, people are very good at presenting themselves in a way that they may not represent once they get there. But first, you want to understand again, who's this person and what's going wrong for them. And sometimes we just didn't see what they didn't want us to see. And sometimes we may have to, over time, as we've tried to assess and address the situation, work on strategies to help them all come together. And once we understand, sometimes you may not be able to keep that person because they're too disruptive. And we never want to get there, but sometimes we don't always hire the right people. Like I said, people are very good actors. You have 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes to understand if this person is going to succeed in your organization. And people practice and memorize, and you don't always get it right. But firstly, you need to understand, are they bored? Are they, are they not engaged in their role? Are they sitting in the wrong seat? Are they not utilizing their strengths effectively? Do they understand their purpose, the strategy, the vision, the goals? So always coming back to root cause. And if the root cause is they're just disruptive and they're not a team player, then that's what you got to do. You got to sometimes cut the string and say, thanks for your time and energy, but I think we're moving in a different direction, and that's not easy, but it is critical to do, because if you keep the toxic employee, they will bring everyone down with them.
That's great feedback.
Yeah.
I know I see some established businesses in the room, 10 years plus. And so how do we implement the tools that you've given us today? How do we what would be like the key steps in a step-by-step format of sorts to assess where your culture's at in compared to your vision, and then 3 steps to implement from there to a better culture?
Absolutely. First, know your North Star. What is your vision? What's your vision for your business, for your people, for your customers? What do you want people to see? How do you want them to receive your information? Once you know your vision, you must communicate that to your leadership team. They must be on the bus. Actually, if you can engage them in developing your North Star, that's even better, because now they've bought in even more because they're part of the process. After that, you're modeling that behavior down the stream, but you have to start up and it has to go down. But start with your vision. What do you know to be true about what you want in your future? Start with your current state. I like a survey. I love to do a survey. If you're strong enough to hear it, do a 360. How are people feeling? How are people thinking? You have to be strong enough to hear it, though, because you might get your back up and have to just pause for a second. Go, okay, well, I asked for their voice. Now I need to hear them. Thirdly, if you're going to ask, create some actions. So don't ask if you're not prepared to change. If you're going to just stay status quo, don't ask questions. You're going to make it worse for people. So if you ask, be prepared to action what they've said. So if they pick the top 3 things they've said they want change, and start to integrate that and communicate it. Communicate. Top 3.
Wonderful.
And if you read my book,
that.
you'll have all the steps. Every chapter has a number of questions to help guide you through this thinking. And it's not quick. The thing I tell people, culture change takes 1 to 3 years to start to see the needle move, depending on how big your organization is. If you're small, you're going to see things quicker because you got less people to influence or model behavior. If you're huge, you're going to take more time. But consistency, be consistent. Critical.
So Teresa, how can people get their hands on your book, follow up with you if they have questions? What's next steps after the BizBite?
Well, I love that you asked. Thank you. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and I will draw from the names of all the folks that came on LinkedIn to connect with me. I'll draw for 3. I have 3 books to give away, or even more. I have lots of digital copies. Yeah. So connect with me on LinkedIn if you have questions. Get a hold of me through there. I'm pretty responsive through that. It's kind of the best business networking we have right now, I think. If you know better, tell me. But connect with me through there. And my book is available on Amazon. Chapters and Indigo offers it on a Kindle format, but Amazon will print it and send it to you in the mail in like a couple days. They're actually pretty fast. And it's not a long read. It's quick. And it's kind of what I use as my guidebook. And I've created this strategy over 30 years. Based on my observations, my experience, what I've seen, what I've observed. Critically, though, if your top person isn't in, you're done. You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have been in those organizations and I
Yep.
didn't stay long. That's
Yep.
for sure. Didn't
Yeah,
stay
and
long.
you'll lose your superstars like Michelle. They'll leave. They'll be like, I got skills. I'm out of here. Right? Yeah.
It happens. It does
Yeah.
happen.
It
Teresa,
does.
thank you so much for joining us for the Regional Business Support Network BizBite. And to the audience and those watching the recording, please connect with Teresa on LinkedIn with the email. Oh, I see we have one question. Clint raised his hand. Clint, did you raise your hand? Do you have a question before we wrap up?
No, sorry, that was a mistake on my end, but thank
Oh, no,
you.
it's all good.
Great information there. Appreciate it.
Thank
That's
you
all
so
good.
much.
In the email I send out with the recording, I will actually put the link to connect with Teresa on LinkedIn and ask her any questions. I'll also find her book on Amazon and put a link there as well if you wish to purchase it. And for those of you who are wondering what RBSN can do for you, the Regional Business Support Network offers free, and I say I'm the good four-letter F word, I'm free, sponsored by Prairie's Economic Development Canada, Community Future Central Alberta, and the Town of Olds, business support services. So whether you're thinking of starting up a business all the way to thinking about shutting it down and everything in between, how to use AI, how to use new marketing strategies, how to do credibility marketing, all of those things, how to pamper your people. I'm here. Pamper your people. I am here and fully accessible to you if you want to have a conversation with me as well. And we have an exciting new presenter for our BizBite in November. We have Ashen Seelig from Career Assistance Network, who is going to help us hire without the headache. So before we get into cultural problems in our business, how to hire the right person with her great strategy. So watch for the link in your email to sign up for that one. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. I hope you found it really valuable to implement this into your business and your organization and yourself, as Teresa said. So Teresa, you're amazing. I'm so glad that you are a part of my team. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I am going to say goodbye, farewell, Avita saying goodbye for another episode of the RBSN BizBites. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Namaste.